Before we get started, we just want to announce for anyone interested in ordering Mr. Lindell's 4-CD set, go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. For those in the U.S., you can order either physical copies or the digital downloads. For those outside the U.S., you can order the digital downloads by going to metaphysicalarttheater.com.
How you doing, sir?
Very good. And how are you doing?
I'm doing outstanding. So today's topic, we want to discuss there's only God. Is that correct?
There's only God. I'd like to tell the people that they are that God. All of you. Every one of you. And he loves you just as you are. And that is all you really need to understand, is that I'm with you always. I will never leave you. Omnipresence. What more do you need to know? And what do you need to go to or think from when it's all in you, as within, so without? Go into silence and you'll discover what I'm telling you for yourself. Isn't that so?
It is so. So when you say to the individual that they're gods, what does that mean to them? Does that mean that they can make the sun go up, the sun go down, make the moon shine? What does that mean that they're gods?
Well, actually, Jesus told you very plainly, these things I do, you shall do also, and even greater, he added, and even greater. And who does greater things than the Son of God?
God.
That's your answer. There's only God. He's all to all. Can you get around that?
You can't get around it. It's funny, you asked the question, who can do greater works than the Son of God? And of course, the answer was God. And it's funny because somebody had posted on YouTube, they found it almost laughable that I stated in one of our talks that we would do greater works than Jesus. And from a religious standpoint, it almost sounds blasphemy or heresy. Would you agree?
Yeah, I get quite a few comments on that. Someone's always running around with a pitchfork. So you got to kind of watch what you say, because the least little word, and they'll call you on it, and yet nobody makes any concern really for themselves in what they're hearing, because it's their own message. They left it for themselves. That's what you want to focus on. What are you thinking feelingly about? Because that will be your world of experiencing right off. Because you're thinking from it. That's why you're experiencing it. Let go and let God. And there's only God. He says, I'm with you always. I will never leave you. Omnipresence. Come on. What more do you need to work with than I am that? Because that's what you're claiming with your valid say. And that's what these talks are about, right? The valid
Absolutely.
say.
It is about that. And you're right about the valid say. And you're also correct about people really hold you accountable for every word. And we have to be mindful. I had a conversation or an exchange with somebody in the Facebook group, and it was on the word suffering. But basically, I said that even enemies come together when there's a common point of suffering. And the person said, well, I'm so glad that I don't have to suffer to help somebody out. And he's absolutely correct. You don't. But what I was speaking of, do you remember the Watts riots back in the 80s?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't we just all get along?
Exactly. And what happened, they had destroyed, the funny thing was many of the looters and rioters were destroying their own neighborhoods. And because of that, when everything was said and done, gang members, the Crips and the Bloods, had come together with so many other people in the community and started to rebuild. And so that's what I meant about the rebuilding in a time of suffering. And we see that all over the world, where you see earthquakes and people being displaced because of tornadoes and fires and so forth. And you guys are really familiar with fires because of the dry weather out there, but how people come together. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. These are some real rough wake-up calls.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Because that's how dense we are. Oh, look, man, can you actually imagine being God and listening to us? No, he isn't. He's with you. He is your backup. He puts what you think feelingly about into manifestation, into content of your experiencing of everydayness. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence. If you don't want to experience what you're thinking of, then I would cancel it immediately, wouldn't you?
I would. You were talking about God. Could you imagine being God? And, in scripture it says, and God laughed, as you will often quote. So, yeah, he laughs at our antics quite often.
We sure do give him a lot to go on.
We do.
So, actually, if you think about it, it's really kind of like the movies. There's someone who thinks up the story, someone who writes it down, and someone who narrates it to the people that are going to play all the parts, and you get all of it, and every part has to be played. And they're all equal, but someone has to play all the parts. And that's what we're doing. It's exactly that, wouldn't you say?
I would. And, the wonderful thing about playing all the parts is that we can change the part. Now, most people don't realize that to be true, that they can change the part that they're playing at the moment because they think that that part is fixed, but they can change it. Is that correct?
Yes, and it is fixed as long as they're thinking of it. You see, that's giving life to what you do not want. And yet, at the same time, it's answering your prayer, because you're praying ceaselessly, you're told. That is, without stopping, yes. Attitude. That's what you want to watch out for in your talking to yourself. And suggestions. That's something else you want to watch out for in your self-talk, because it is in your self-talk that you're thinking ahead. See, now that's thinking ahead of your evidence. That is what you're experiencing. And so you're actually creating your world moment by moment. And I say moment because I don't know how long your attention span is, but mine was like just a snap of a finger, it seemed like. But you can discipline yourself to listen to yourself, to understand what it is you're talking to yourself about. Because it is going to be your world of experiencing. It's not falling into the past. That was. I had that idea for a long time that it was falling into the past, but it isn't. It's being projected into your future. So if you're one of those who like dreaming up monsters, stop it. You're only denying yourself. We're told very plainly, all denial is self-denial. God's not denying you anything. And he told you that you receive not because you ask not, or that you're asking amiss, which is what most of the world is doing. Just look at most of the world, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and I like that you said about the roles that we play. The roles are fixed if we continue with that train of thought. And it goes back to what you were just saying a moment ago. You know, most people don't realize that they're thinking ahead of their evidence. So when people begin to understand this process, as you often say, our goal is not to tell you what to think. We're not trying to determine how you are to think, but we are saying that as you think, you're creating your world of experience. Would you agree?
That's it. That's spelling it out for them. That's what they said they wanted, simple. And that I would say that's pretty simple, wouldn't you?
I would.
It's right there, right with you. See, you don't really have to do anything outside of yourself. It's what's going on within your thinking and feeling is your world of experiencing. So no one can change it for you. It's your work. You're told, work out your own salvation. Didn't say think about it. It said work it. In other words, you're just to be willing. And don't worry about being worthy, because we're not. No one is. Scripture says not one is worthy. So you can just bypass that very easily by becoming worthy. But it's not something forced. It's something desired and felt in your heart that you are, I am that. Because you I am something, you might as well be I am that, what you really want, rather than what you don't want. But the thing of it is that you're praying ceaselessly. Just think of your moods during the day. I mean, how many times do you get angry or upset over some little thing? You see, that's the thinking you want to stop. You're not to be upset by what's going on around you. If you're thinking feelingly, that's what you want to be entered into permanently as you can. And it's about being disciplined. It's about self-discipline. that was really a chore thing for me to do about anything like that. I didn't want the responsibility. And that's what everybody cringes when you tell them that it's their own responsibility, that they themselves are makers of themselves. It's what Scripture's been telling us for 1,000 years. And just look back at the history and look at how they thought and how they acted and the outcome of it, and you'll see that as you think, you are. And that's individually and collectively. So it's always up to the individual to choose this day, because that's what you're going to be experiencing in your future. Like I said, you're making it moment by moment. What are you thinking about feelingly? Because that is your world of experiencing, and it'll follow you as long as you will feed it. And when you stop feeding it, your attention, it goes away. Because you are its life. It depends upon how you think and feel for its existence. And so it's going to fight you at every turn. It's going to remind you of stuff you've done and stuff you should be cringing about. No. Blessed is the man that forgives himself, that does not judge himself for what he has allowed. And you're doing so if you're denying yourself, if you're blaming yourself. It's you denying you. God's not denying you. He's just telling you, straighten it out. Work out your own salvation. Isn't that what Jesus told you?
That's exactly what he told us, with fear and trembling. And it goes back to what you stated, not to be upset. And I think that this was the point that the young man was trying to get across, not to be upset at what's going on around you. And he had given a story, and his story was somebody had come into his business where he worked, and he knew that they were distressed. And what he sent them was loving energy, positive energy. And so he's absolutely correct that we're not to take on the mindset of the world around us, but to elevate them. Would you agree?
That's it. Look, it tells you that everybody who comes to you was sent to you. And they were sent to you either to lift you or for you to lift them. And that goes on and on and on. But you are to think about not what's going on without. It's what's going on within. That should have your attention desirably the most, because it is what you will be experiencing. In other words, look what you're told. You're told you're in control. Take control, because you are in control, even if you're out of control. You're operating at a level of your thinking, and you'll always be operating at a level of your thinking. And that's not talking about education so much, although it is helpful, but it's as you think you are. And to think rightly so, you're told if a man would order his conversations aright, he would be shown salvation. And that's what everyone's looking for. You know, people are clamoring right, and they want justice. They want justice. No, you don't want justice. It's not justice. It's grace. It's forgiveness. That's what you want. That's what you've gotten, if you'll accept it. You see, the problem isn't that you're not receiving. The problem is you're not accepting. You see, he says, do you believe I'm God? He tells you, it's up to you. Feel after him and you'll find him. That's you being, doing, having what you're looking for, because what you're looking for is looking for you. Understand, it's on automatic. I understand using the word holy, 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 but the way it's being used is not correctly so. The only thing holy here is God. Everything else is loose, wouldn't you say?
I would. And we go from holy to holy, being whole, complete, lacking nothing. Would you agree?
That's it. That's it. Actually, you know, the thing that people start worrying about is things they're going to be giving up. But the thing of it is that at the time, it will be okay. See, they're thinking how they feel about something now, but how will you feel about it a few years from now, or 6 days from now? Because it really depends upon, as you think you are, you believe. And as you believe, it is to you. And all you have to do is sit in the quiet for a time and see, what do I believe? I mean, what do I actually believe? Because actually, if you believe it, you'd be doing it. So you can, right there, you know where you're at. You can do this. It is a doable. You were told to do it. You were told that you can do this at any time. It's always this day, and it is this day that you do it. It's not a yesterday. It's not a tomorrow. It's always today, this day. And this is the time. In fact, it even narrows it down to the hour. This is the hour of desired change. This is the hour that everyone has been waiting for, is a desired change. But it has to start somewhere. And it always starts in the mind of man. And if he'll state it, stand on it, he'll believe it. And if he believes it, he'll receive it. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
It is definitely that simple. And you said something, and I want to go back to it. You said, if you believe something, you begin doing something. We live out our beliefs. Would you agree?
Well, yeah, that's it. It says all things are possible to him who believes. Well, you believe something. I mean, you believe many things. I mean, if you really sat and made a list of all the things you believe, it'd be a very, very long list. But these things you feel you can't believe, because we were taught as children, seeing is believing. But Scripture's had it for 2,000 years. That it is believing is seeing, and it's very hard to understand that, even though you know what the words say and you know what the words mean, and it makes sense that you don't really understand, but it does make sense. If you'll feel after what it is you desire to do, to be, to have, and be in it, thinking from it, not of it, because thinking of it is denying that you have it, and thinking from it is this, I am that, is a claim that you're making. So if you want to be it, do it, and you'll be it. When you say.
I would say. And you were talking about going within. And as we're looking at going within, think from the in. Would you agree?
Well, that's it. That's what you're doing when you go in there. You're thinking of the dream and it being in operation. In other words, you're doing the doing that you'd be doing if you were in your dream at this moment, right?
Yes, you would.
See, so there you're stating, I am that, really. I may be living here, but I'm thinking, feelingly there. And the thing of it is that it is two different worlds, but yet it is only one world. But the thing of it is, when you're in the dream, that's the reality, and here is the dream. But when you're here, that is the dream, and this is the reality. So you can bring the two together, and if you really do, you'll find a whole mind of imagination. Everything, anything, all things are made if you believe it, and that's all you have to do. Yeah, all you have to do is believe it. And you can believe it. If you'll feel after it, you will find it. That is what will make you believe that it is so will be found. If you'll look for it, if you'll feel after it. And that's all you have to do, isn't it?
That is it. And as we go back to the title, There's Only God, because we're sons and daughters of God, children of God, we can only recreate like God. Is that correct?
Yes, that's it. Look, all you have to really do is simply just think, what am I thinking feelingly about? Am I making a case for, or am I making a case against? Am I judging something that I know about, or am I judging something I don't know about? You see, the thing of it is that we're doing it every day. It's our normal, everyday thinking and feeling is our world of experiencing. But you can intervene in it and think from it. That's what we're here to do, become a better director of our own self-talk. Wouldn't you say?
I would. And like I said, it goes back to, earlier conversation, as we begin entertaining someone else's situation, entertain it from the end. Would you agree?
But yes, that's it. You're all, in other words, man must be where he is in his imagination. Neville made that very, very clear, that man is where he is in his imagination. So if you want to be somewhere different, then be somewhere different in your imagination, because you are using your imagination. That is the power of God. And he gave it to you to choose this day. And you are choosing this day because every word must be taken into account. So you are actually creating your world moment by moment. And that's all you need to really start with, is just knowing that you are creating your world, word by word, moment by moment, thought by thought. You're changing your world, or you're just annoying yourself with how unreal it seems to be. But look, you're always thinking ahead of your evidence. Just remember that. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence. Rather, it feels like you are or not. You are doing so because it is making up your future. It's not falling into the past. I know I say that over and over, but I want you to get the picture in your mind that it's as you think you are, right?
It is. That is absolutely correct. You said be somewhere different in your imagination. Be someone different in your imagination. The thing is, many of us have purchased someone else's story about who we are. And because we've purchased that, we say, well, this is just who I am. They may have said that you'll never amount to anything. So the person's in the prison cell right now, and he's saying, well, they told me that I'll never amount to anything. And the only thing that they really need to begin doing is being someone different in their imagination. Would you agree?
That's it. No bars can hold you. It's only your thought of them that hold you. The whole thing is as within, so without. You're where you are because that's what you think you are. That's what you feel you are. That's what you are motivated to emulate in some form or fashion because that's what you feel you are. Undesirable in some way or another. But it's only thinking makes it so. And if thinking makes it so, then thinking can make it unso. So you're in charge, even if you're out of control. But take control. That's what you're here to do. You're here to take control of your ability to change your mind, to change your world. You can do this. It's only a decision, and you can make a decision. You can do so. You're told to do so. So it would be senseless for God to tell you to do something you couldn't do. So if he told you to do it, believe me, you can do it. But all you have to do is want to. That's all. All you have to do is really want to. I want to do this. I want to follow this idea. Then all you have to do is keep thinking about it. That's all. And you will do so. And that's all. Look, it isn't any different than when you went to school at kindergarten, right? When you learn your ABCs or something. How did you remember them? Reiteration. And that's the same thing with this. You hear it once and you say, oh, that was really nice. Oh, yeah. But do you feel it's really worthy of your attention? Because what has your attention is what has your life. So it's up to you what you think about, isn't it?
It is. And I like that you said no bars can imprison an individual. And immediately what came to mind for me was the Birdman of Alcatraz. You remember, I don't know if you saw the movie. Great movie, but it brings about the point. He found liberation in his prison cell. Or Viktor Frankl, who was in a German Nazi camp. Viktor, when he would be in the cesspool, he said that was the most peaceful time of his day when he was in that pool by himself and he was able to meditate upon the wonders of God inside this cesspool. Or the guy that had improved his golf game while he was in a Vietnam prison camp. So you're right. No bars can hold you.
Yeah, It really is so easy to get caught up in what's going on the without. And it seems so difficult to just sit calmly and see what's going on within yourself. Because that's your world of experiencing. What's going on out there, that's all secondhand land, isn't it?
It is.
if it's all secondhand, we're looking for those who are looking for knowing first person. And that's what we're trying to share with you, is that you do know, you only need to recognize that you know. Because if God is with you, I'm sure God knows, and if he knows, you know, and it's all right. In fact, he says, physician, heal thyself. And that's not a slap to doctors either. It's what it means is that Jesus is right with you. Isn't that what he said? I and my Father are one, even as you as I are one. Well, if that's the physician who's with you, I think he can handle it, don't you?
I do. And I know that he can handle it. And no matter how big we think the problem is, we have to point it back to the great physician who can heal all of our sorrows, all of our griefs. Would you agree?
Yes, that's right. Look, what you feel about yourself